11 years into my marriage with Jennifer, my photographer wife, I thought I knew her well until an unexpected encounter at her favorite cafe. I saw her laughing heartily with another man. In response, I left a terse note telling her not to come home. Her actions destroyed the last scraps of respect I had for her. Yet, she was unprepared for how someone who constructs skyscrapers responds to betrayal. By the end of my plan, both their lives would crumble, and I would be observing from a secure position. My name is Adrian Steele, 43 years old, a senior architect at Thornton and Associates, one of Boston's leading architectural firms. For 11 years, I had believed that my marriage to Jennifer was as strong as the landmark buildings I designed across New England, but that fateful April Tuesday shattered those beliefs. I was greeted by the CEO himself, who acknowledged me as the reason for my hire. "You don't falter when you're convinced you're right, Steele." Spurred by this affirmation, I decided to surprise Jennifer, who I've been distant from due to this project. I picked up Lily's pizza from Giovanni's, her favorite since our honeymoon in Italy, and headed to her studio in the Arts District. Her assistant, Megan, informed me with a strange hesitation that Jennifer was meeting a client at Café Lucina. Upon further probing, she revealed a gallery owner who Jennifer has been seeing frequently. This revelation sent a chill down my spine. I thanked Megan and hurried the 6 blocks to Café Lucina. As soon as I entered, reality seemed to warp. There in a corner booth sat Jennifer, holding hands with a man of similar age. She chuckled at his remark, leaning in a way that clearly revealed intimacy. The laugh was familiar to me. It was the one she once saved for me. For a brief moment, I stood motionless, holding the lilies tightly. Then, years of confrontations on construction sites and battles in boardrooms surfaced. A true man tackles his problems directly. I advanced towards their table with calculated strides. Neither of them noticed me until I loomed over them, casting a shadow upon their cozy setting. Jennifer's gaze shifted upward, her smile fading as our eyes connected. "Adrian," she hastily withdrew her hand from his. "Who are you?" The man, later identified as Robert, seemed more aggravated than embarrassed, as if I was disrupting a business meeting rather than exposing an affair. Without uttering a word, I took out my leather-bound sketchbook, where I sketched my most brilliant designs. I scribbled 6 words, ensuring each letter was clear and precise, just like my blueprints. "Stay away, our relationship is over." Placing the note and flowers on the table, I departed without looking back. My posture remained upright, my pace unwavering as I exited through the door, despite hearing Jennifer call out my name. Encountering my wife at a cafe with another man, I delivered a stay-away message in the form of a note. Her subsequent actions would reveal that I had been married to a stranger all along. The following hours were spent aimlessly cruising around Boston, the city I'd contributed to transform with my designs. Harborfront Plaza, Wilson Tower downtown, New Arts Wing at Northeastern Structures, where I'd invested my spirit while my marriage seemingly disintegrated. Eventually, I made my way to my office, engrossing myself in work until late into the night. Upon returning home, our brownstone was dark. For a moment, I believed Jennifer had adhered to my message. However, upon seeing her car in the driveway, my jaw tightened. Even in this, she couldn't uphold a simple wish. Found her seated in our living room, a glass of wine in hand, displaying an uncanny calmness akin to anticipating a tardy dinner guest, rather than addressing the demise of our marriage. There were no tears, no apparent distress, merely a carefully cultivated composure. "We need to talk, Adrian," she announced, setting down her glass with deliberate flair. I continued to stand, my arms folded. "On what?" "Either your infidelity with the gallery owner or how little you think of me. It's not as you imagine." She let out a sigh, as if addressing an irate client upset over a minor design change. "Robert and I are merely colleagues. What you witnessed was a business discussion." A bitter chuckle escaped me. "I've had many business discussions, Jennifer. None resemble hand-holding and whispers into each other's ears. You're being melodramatic." She moved towards me, displaying the grace of a seasoned photographer. It was innocent. "You've been distant lately, engrossed in your projects. Robert admires my work. He listens. and I don't. Her voice was unusually tranquil, even startling herself. Not been around for months, Adrian, mentally and physically. The tone switched to accusatory. What was I supposed to do? Talk to me. Explain why. My response maintained an even keel, challenging her indirectly. Why did you assume I'd be hiding something behind my back? Her initial defense cracked at this. It just happened. Not serious. I nearly chuckled at the preposterousness. Not physical, just emotional betrayal isn't enough unless it includes sex. Jennifer's eyes turned steely. I didn't intend this, Adrian. I was lonely. Robert understands me in ways you stopped trying long ago. So this is my fault. Stepping nearer, towering over her, I retorted sharply. You cheating because I devoted myself to creating the life we both wanted? She remained silent, offering no direct response. Instead of what I had anticipated, she spoke words that chilled my core. I'm no longer certain about this marriage, Adrian. I've never been, to be honest. The coldness with which she delivered those words, as if critiquing one of my designs, left me in no doubt. This wasn't a fleeting moment. This was Jennifer revealing her true self. Gather your belongings, I murmured. Leave tonight. I want you out by morning. Her eyes widened with genuine shock. Evidently, she thought I would plead, negotiate, or compromise. She had sorely underestimated the man she wedded. Where should I go? She asked angrily. It doesn't matter. Contact Robert. I walked towards the stairs, leaving her behind. I'm confident he can accommodate you. Sleep eluded me that night. Around 3 a.m., I heard Jennifer leave the guest room and depart from the house. She didn't slam the door. Just a quiet click that echoed with finality, louder than any dramatic exit could have. By dawn, I was operating on coffee and determination. I arrived at the office ahead of schedule, immersing myself in the Richardson project with unwavering concentration. My colleagues sensed something amiss, but gave me the space not to probe. Over the years, I had earned this. Not merely buildings, but respect. I was perusing foundation specifications when my phone vibrated with an unknown number. Defying my better instincts, I accepted the call. Are you Adrian Steele? A man's voice, tentative yet unfamiliar, replied. Yes, speaking. This is Adrian. He hesitated. I am Steve Lawson. I work at Jennifer's studio. He took a breath. There's something I believe you should be aware of. My fingers tightened around the phone. Go on. Look at your email. I've just sent you something. She doesn't know I have these files. The call disconnected. I accessed my email to find a message containing multiple attachments, pictures, and a video file. My hands remained steady as I clicked through each one. The images depicted Jennifer with Robert together. In a hotel, a parking lot, restaurants new to me, timestamps spanning months. The footage, grainy and distant, captured them without their knowledge. Jennifer and Robert outside his gallery after hours, locked in an embrace that couldn't be chalked up as mere colleagues. Her voice, sharp and clear, echoing Adrian won't find out. He's too engrossed in creating his architectural masterpieces to notice what's unfolding right before his eyes. Robert chuckled, oblivious husband, a cliché for a reason. I shut my laptop, an unusual serenity enveloping me. The betrayal was more extensive than I had imagined, calculated, deliberate. This wasn't a fleeting lapse, but a prolonged web of deceit. I called Steve back. Why are you showing me this? His tone was hushed. Because I was in your shoes 6 months ago with another woman, the same tale. Nobody revealed the truth until it was too late. How long have you known? A while. In the studio, she's far from discreet. Everyone's aware. I'm sorry, buddy. Following our call, I remained unmoved, pondering this fresh truth. Jennifer hadn't just breached our marriage vows. She had ridiculed it, ridiculed me, turning me into a joke shared with her lover and co-workers. Throughout my career, I've constructed structures meant to endure time and the elements. I applied the same principles to our union, convinced it was equally sturdy, equally robust. I erred. One solitary night in our home, I made a resolution. This wouldn't crush me. I'd weathered professional setbacks that would have devastated other architects. Clients turning down projects, budget reductions, designs being criticized and abandoned. Each time, I bounced back stronger. This betrayal was simply another structural flaw to examine and address, systematically, purposefully, just as an architect is trained to do. The following morning, a new message from Steve arrives. "Can we talk?" he inquired. "You need to learn more," so we agreed to meet at a secluded coffee shop away from Jennifer's studio. I arrived ahead of schedule, taking a corner table with a clear view of the entrance, an ingrained practice from construction site negotiations. Trust, but verify, was my mindset. Steve showed up punctually, mid-30s, exuding the cautious air of someone who handled valuable camera equipment as his livelihood. His handshake was strong, his face serious. "Thank you for this meeting," he began, settling into the chair opposite me. "You mentioned there's more." I maintained a calm and professional demeanor. "I'm ready to listen." He cast furtive glances before leaning in. "Robert isn't only Jennifer's lover, he's also married. His wife, Anita, is a curator at the Gardner Museum." The disclosure struck me like a blow. Not just an affair, but a double breach of trust. Two marriages put at risk for what? Excitement, ego. "How did you discover all this information?" I inquired. Steve's expression grew stern. Steve continues to boast about their secretive actions to Megan, his assistant, claiming they are being clever by concealing their actions from both me and Steve's wife. "A system," I echo, the designer in me perceiving the irony of their meticulous planning. "Alibis, cover stories, deleted messages. They've been orchestrating this for months." I nodded slowly, taking it all in. "Why are you revealing this to me, Steve? We barely know each other." He looked into his coffee cup, a mirror of my thoughts. My ex-wife employed the same tactic 3 years ago. No one warned me, despite several of her friends being aware. By the time I realized what was happening, her boyfriend had already moved into our home while I was on a business trip. He lifted his gaze to meet mine. Nobody deserves that kind of humiliation. A moment of empathetic silence passed between us, two men bound by betrayal. Robert's wife. Lastly, I inquired, "Is she aware?" To which he replied, "I don't believe so." Jennifer playfully mocked her ignorance, engrossed in her museum career, while her husband admires various artworks. His distaste was noticeable. "Do you know any way to reach her?" Steve hesitated, then nodded affirmatively. "Via the museum, most likely." I posed, "Are you considering telling her? Wouldn't you have wanted someone to tell you?" He avoided a direct response. Instead, he extracted his phone, displaying me further proof screenshots of text exchanges between Jennifer and Megan discussing rendezvous points, alibis, and private jokes about me. "She's not who you think she is," Steve whispered softly. "According to Megan, this situation doesn't seem to be resolving soon. They plan a trip to New York next month, supposedly for a gallery showing, but in reality, it's for a romantic escape." I expressed gratitude, my architectural mind already sketching blueprints, measuring dimensions, evaluating reinforcements. Instead of dismantling, I was planning to unravel the life Jennifer had intricately woven with her deceptions. As we bid farewell, Steve offered a final piece of advice. "In truth, everyone at the studio believes you've been unfairly treated. Jennifer is talented, but what she's doing to you, it's not right." I acknowledged with a nod and handshake, marching purposefully away. I had layouts to draft, plans for accountability. Jennifer messaged that night, "I need to pick up more of my belongings tomorrow. Will you be home?" I scrutinized the message, finding no remorse or admission of wrongdoing. Characteristic of her. Her life revolved around her own convenience. "I'll be home at 6. I responded curtly, "Hurry up." Then I started preparing. I reproduced every photograph, screenshot, and transcript Steve had supplied, neatly arranging them on the dining table. The same table where we celebrated anniversaries, hosted guests, and planned our future. I placed copies of Robert's social media accounts, featuring numerous images of him with his wife at art exhibitions and charity functions, on display at work. The following day, I found myself remarkably attentive, despite a lack of rest. My coworkers observed this transformation, assuming my newfound vigor was related to the Richardson project. In truth, I was readying myself for an altogether distinct renovation, restructuring my life from its very roots. At 5:30 p.m., I left for home, making a detour to procure a bottle of scotch, normally saved for project conclusions. This instance certainly warranted it. Upon reaching home, I found Jennifer's car parked in the driveway. She was in our bedroom, packing designer attire into a suitcase, having used her key despite my clear communication that she wasn't invited. "You're early," she remarked without looking up. "This is my house." Her expression flickered at my tone, but she persisted with the packing. "I must collect my jewelry from the safe." "Very well." Observed her actions, self-assured, arrogant, as if the dissolution of our marriage was a trivial issue. When she eventually spoke directly to me, her countenance was calculated. "Adrian, I suggest we discuss the house," she began coolly. "I've invested much effort into its interior design, and the legal team will manage that." I interrupted her. "However, prior to your departure, there is something I wish to share with you in the basement." Her brow furrowed with wariness, but curiosity prevailed. She accompanied me to the dining room, where my display was prepared. Upon seeing the table, she halted. My photographer's work, the sequence of images narrated her infidelity systematically, labeled with dates and locations. "What is this?" she questioned, her voice no longer composed. "Evidence," I answered casually, pouring myself a scotch. "I am an architect, Jennifer. I advocate comprehensive planning and concrete proof." Her shock morphed into fury. "Were you monitoring me, spying on me? I didn't need to. You made it clear enough for your peers to see. One of them has a conscience, apparently. Reflect on that." She glanced around the table at the photos of Robert with his wife. "This is an invasion of privacy. Those are intimate moments. So is our marriage." I took a leisurely sip of scotch until you turned it into a spectacle for your lover and colleagues. Her complexion pale, she questioned me. "What will you do with these images?" I shrugged. "I haven't made up my mind yet." "But Anita might be intrigued by her husband's extracurricular activities, wouldn't you agree?" Fear trembled in her voice. "Why wouldn't I? I didn't hesitate to ruin our marriage. Why should I spare Robert now?" The mask of calmness Jennifer had built crumbled. She was no longer in control, and the realization struck her like a tangible blow. "Gather your belongings," I said softly, "and hand in your key." That night, Jennifer left, shattered and disheveled. Adrienne took great pride in shaping narratives through her photography within our social group and in her marriage. Seeing the meticulously arranged proof of her infidelity left her disoriented, as planned. Upon her departure, she poured another scotch and typed an email to Anita Collins, Robert's wife. The message was straightforward and concise. "I possess details about your husband that you ought to be aware of. Are you open to discussing them?" I attached a single image, no explicit content, merely Robert and Jennifer exiting a hotel, along with my phone number. I sent it before second thoughts set in. A man confronts tough circumstances head-on, not by evading them. The reply came sooner than anticipated. The following morning, an unknown number called Adrian's phone. "Is this Adrian Steele?" A woman's voice, calm yet cautious. "Yes, this is Anita Collins." I received her email, and there was a moment of silence. "I propose we meet today, if convenient." We set a rendezvous at a serene cafe distant from the museum and Robert's gallery. I arrived ahead of time, claiming a secluded corner table. Anita arrived promptly, a tall, composed woman with a curator's sharp gaze. She exuded grace, but her tense shoulders betrayed her. "Thank you for this encounter," I greeted, offering a firm handshake. She acknowledged me with a nod, her eyes unwavering. "Your email was hardly discreet, Mr. Steele." "Call me Adrian," I replied, and I felt openness was more essential than being coy at this juncture. A hint of a smile graced her lips. "You make a point." She settled down, positioning herself with deliberate poise. "So, you're Jennifer's spouse, soon-to-be divorcee." I clarified. She scrutinized me closely. "How long have you been aware?" "A week now." I held her gaze steadily. "You For months, I had my suspicions. Her confession took me aback. Robert isn't as shrewd as he believes. Nighttime gallery sessions, enigmatic business voyages, unexpected phone encryption. She tilted her head. As a curator, Adrian, it's in my nature to observe minutiae. Why haven't you addressed his actions? She sighed. I required proof, not conjectures. My father was a lawyer. He drilled into me the importance of being battle-ready. I spread images from my portfolio on the table. Is this enough to prepare for conflict? She scrutinized each one carefully, her grip tightening around her coffee cup, though her expression remained unchanged. Yes, she replied eventually. This is thorough. There's more. I admitted. Text messages, emails, videos. A fellow colleague from Jennifer's studio furnished them. Anita arched an eyebrow. A conscientious individual, not common these days. Precisely my thoughts. She collected the photos neatly, her actions deliberate. What are your intentions, Adrian? To preserve my marriage with honor remaining. Anything else? I shrugged. I'm undecided. She nodded solemnly. If I were to suggest a plan to you, listening, it seems they believe themselves so superior, manipulating and amusing themselves while we're left in the dark. Steele spoke up. I propose we reveal their error. As she detailed her strategy, I recognized a fellow builder of enduring structures, one who prioritized honesty, one who refused to be a victim. By the time our coffee was finished, we shared an agreement and a plan of action. They underestimated both of us, Anita remarked as we parted. For the first time in days, I felt a drive towards progression. This isn't merely revenge, it's about responsibility. Anita's scheme was admirably straightforward. She invited Robert to lunch at an upscale eatery near the museum, a place they usually celebrated anniversaries. I arranged for Jennifer to inadvertently witness our gathering there, and Steve lent a hand by hinting to Jennifer that I had been spotted with an appealing woman at Bellini's. Just as predicted by Anita, Jennifer's curiosity led her to our conversation. I observed her walking into the restaurant moments before Anita and me were deeply engrossed in a discussion. Their heads leaned together, her hand occasionally brushing mine for emphasis, resembling what I had seen at Café Lucina. Upon seeing us, Jennifer paused. A figure stormed towards our table, displaying indignation on her face. Really, Adrian? This is your reaction? Dating someone else already? I looked up serenely. Jennifer, what a coincidence. Anita turned, maintaining an unruffled expression. You must be Jennifer. Adrian has spoken so highly of you. Jennifer seemed flustered by Anita's calm demeanor. And who might you be? Anita Collins, museum curator Grace, curator at the Gardner Museum, and Robert's wife, was her response. The color left Jennifer's face upon hearing this. Yes, Robert's wife. Anita smiled politely. Adrian and I have been engaging in a captivating discussion about deceit, treachery, and repercussions. Feel invited to participate. However, Jennifer hesitated to move, her photographer's intuition for capturing moments apparently faltering. This is an ambush, she seemed to mumble under her breath. I countered, no, it's a conversation, one that should have happened long ago. I don't intend to continue this here. Jennifer's voice trembled slightly. That's your choice, Anita answered. But Robert will be here soon. He believes I'm meeting a potential benefactor. Her smile hardened. A surprise for you. Already, Jennifer's hand was on her phone, typing frantically, likely alerting Robert. Yet, it was already too late. Robert emerged from the restaurant entrance, scanning the room before locating us. I observed as understanding gradually spread across his face, starting with bewilderment at seeing his wife with me, followed by sheer terror upon noticing Jennifer at our table. Upon reaching us, he demanded, "What's going on here?" Trying to preserve his gallery owner demeanor, he questioned us. Clearness, Anita replied, her tone unwavering. Something long past due. We know it all. I concurred. The hotels, the trips, the derisive messages, everything. Robert's composed front faltered. This isn't the right setting. You didn't seem to care about proper settings when you were with my wife. I intervened, my voice soft yet forceful. A few diners near us glanced over, quickly focusing on their meals. Perhaps we should move this discussion somewhere private, Anita proposed, always the composed one. Why? I inquired. They didn't keep their affair hidden. Half of Jennifer's studio is aware. College administrators have been spreading rumors about it. Why should we conceal the fallout? Jennifer and Robert exchanged alarmed glances, finally comprehending the extent of their misjudgment. They believed us to be unaware, preoccupied by careers, easy to trick and control. However, they were beginning to understand just how incorrect they were. The fallout from our restaurant altercation swiftly ignited like fire in tinder. Robert and Jennifer departed the restaurant individually, each invoking a spurious emergency, he at the gallery, me with a client meeting. Our explanations were thinly veiled, fooling none. Anita and I persisted with our lunch, displaying an extraordinary level of decorum given the recent events. We exchanged contact details, vowing to stay informed about any subsequent developments. I anticipated Jennifer's retaliation would be swift, and it was. My phone filled with accusatory texts that night. How audacious of you to corner me like that. Is this your notion of maturity? You had no right to involve Robert's wife. I chose not to respond, further fueling her wrath. The following day, she stormed into my office, pushing past my assistant in defiance of her protests. You've overstepped the mark, Adrian, she seethed, shutting my office door behind her. I remained seated, calmly focusing on the Richardson plans. Have I? Have I merely responded suitably to your treachery, and now you claim I'm attempting to wreck your life? Your voice echoed with intensity, a calm demeanor usually reserved for clients nowhere to be found. I reluctantly lifted my gaze. No, Jennifer, I'm just ensuring you bear the repercussions of your decisions, something you didn't seem to foresee. Clearly, this was not part of your plan. What do you want from me? Her voice quivered with desperation. Nothing. The frankness of my response appeared to unnerve her. I don't ask for anything from you anymore. She drooped into the chair opposite my desk. Robert's wife has blocked their accounts. She's filing for divorce. His art investors are becoming restless. Actions have consequences. I returned to my blueprints, picking up my pencil. My work was going to be displayed at the gallery next month. This could jeopardize my career. I set down my pencil. You should have factored that into your decision to sleep with him, into your decision to ridicule me in front of your peers. Jennifer's countenance altered from fury to stratagem. I observed it during our discussions regarding house renovations. I erred, Adrian. A significant error. Yet, must we obliterate everything we established? Her audacity surprised me a little. There isn't any you left, Jennifer. You extinguished that when you picked Robert. She confessed this. He terminated our relationship this morning. He said he required to salvage his marriage. I chuckled, devoid of humor. Now, you revert to your backup option. That's not how it functions. I didn't intend to wound you, she attempted again. But you did, intentionally and persistently. I resumed my work, disregarding her. My attorney will reach out to you concerning the divorce proceedings. I advise you to locate a new venue for your art display. Following her departure, a text arrived from Anita. Robert's pleading for another opportunity, vowing therapy, transparency, the whole package. He expressed concern over the gallery's standing. I responded, saying that Jennifer had abruptly recalled their marriage following Robert's departure from her life. Her immediate response was, "Aren't actions powerful at highlighting what truly matters?" Indeed, this held a striking resemblance to a concept in architecture: remove a crucial support, and the inherent strengths and weaknesses of a structure become evident. The subsequent days saw an overwhelming tide of reactions. Friends and acquaintances picked sides unexpectedly, drawing lines I hadn't foreseen. Unsurprisingly, some defended Jennifer, claiming my reaction had been excessive or uncalled for. Claire, an old design associate, phoned one evening, "Adrian, I've heard about the situation with Jennifer and Robert. Aren't you thinking public shaming might have gone too far? Wouldn't it have been better to remain silent in the face of betrayal and ridicule?" I retorted, "Of course not. But invoking his wife, causing a scene at Bellini's, certainly wasn't a wise choice." She showed hesitation. "It appears retaliatory. Accountability isn't retaliatory, Claire, it's essential. The conversation concluded uneasily, another victim of Jennifer's deceit. In the meantime, the repercussions in the professional world escalated. Robert's Gallery investors convened an urgent meeting, worried about a potential scandal jeopardizing their investments. Jennifer's exhibition was put on hold indefinitely. A major client of my firm, who collected Jennifer's photography, discreetly handed over their project to another architect, citing personal disagreements. Jennifer persisted with her efforts at reconciliation, sending increasingly urgent messages. Adrian, I beg you, we need to talk. This is tearing apart everything I've worked for. Can't we at least have a civil conversation about this? I stood firm in my stance, the same resolve that had earned me professional respect. No response was needed. Anita kept me informed about her predicament. Jennifer shifted to a hotel, urgently attempting to rescue her marriage and gallery. Despite her determination to divorce him, she was tactically working to secure her financial position. Occasionally, we met for coffee, discovering mutual interests beyond our shared deceit. She comprehended the architectural fundamentals underpinning my work. I valued her discerning curatorial vision and authenticity. A month after our confrontation, she messaged me. Today, Robert's Gallery board demanded his resignation. It seems that sleeping with photographers whose work you represent breaches professional ethics. Who would have thought, was my response. Jennifer lost her studio lease. The landlord's wife, it seemed, was acquainted with her assistant Megan, who divulged a surprising tale. In an unforeseen turn of events, Steve from Jennifer's studio contacted me about possible collaboration. In Steve's photography of architectural settings, potential was evident. Simultaneously, I was developing a book exploring the bond between construction and surroundings. It was invigorating to construct anew from the embers of deceit. For the first time since uncovering Jennifer's infidelity, I sensed the weight lifting. I had confronted the structural collapse, evaluated the wreckage, and was now crafting something robust, genuine, a life grounded in sincerity instead of deception. 6 months post-discovery of Jennifer's betrayal, I found myself in my renovated lounge, appreciating the transformations. Discarded were the artworks meticulously chosen by Jennifer, supplanted with architectural images from Steve's collection and suggested pieces by the up-and-coming artist Anita. The divorce proceedings moved swiftly as soon as Jennifer understood I was unyielding. My lawyer threatened to demand half of our house, but backed down when confronted with evidence of her affair and the damage it could inflict on her reputation. I immersed myself in the Richardson Museum project, generating some of my finest work. The client acknowledged, Adrian, these designs are distinct. They're braver, more authentic. He was correct. Overcoming betrayal had eliminated pretense, leaving only the genuine. Applying this lesson to architecture, I designed spaces that were truthful in their intent and design. A text from Anita buzzed on my phone. Art exhibition tonight. Need an extra guest. Are you interested? We'd grown a surprising friendship over time, occasionally dining or attending gallery openings together. There was no romantic involvement. We were both too vulnerable for that, but something equally significant, a mutual respect and comprehension. I replied, I'll pick you up at 7 later in the evening. While touring the gallery, Anita pointed out a sign near the entrance. New Management and Artistic Installment by Megan Lawrence. I raised an eyebrow, as it was Steve's girlfriend, Jennifer's former assistant. Anita nodded, a faint smile on her lips. She appears to be quite gifted, she said. Robert's former investors were impressed with her vision. Life has a knack for rearranging itself. Changing the subject, Anita mentioned, I received Jennifer's wedding invitation yesterday. Wedding, that was quick. It's a Robert. She clarified, a photographer she met at a Miami convention. The invitation seemed deliberate. I chuckled. I got one too. Straight to the trash bin. You're not interested in Jennifer? No. As we continued through the exhibition, it struck me how true her words were. The resentment had subsided, leaving behind something more akin to apathy. Jennifer no longer consumed my thoughts. She had transitioned into a lesson experienced, not a wound rekindled. During dinner later, Anita emptied her glass. To unforeseen allies in challenging situations, I tapped my glass against hers. In reference to constructing something improved from the ground up, she observed me contemplatively. Indeed, you've moved on, haven't you? I responded concisely. When a structure crumbles, one doesn't dwell on its collapse. One learns from it and constructs something more robust. While driving home that evening, I pondered over the previous 6 months' journey. The betrayal had come close to shattering me. Yet, instead, it had exposed strengths I wasn't aware of. The pain was genuine, the anger understandable, but they no longer shaped my identity. I had conceived and erected a new life. One with sturdier foundations, cleaner lines, and more sincere connections. A place where I no longer speculated about Jennifer's activities or why she chose to deceive me. It dawned on me that this was the most authentic way to progress.